Ford people, the Ford people.
The quality of a product depends on the men and women who produce it. Quality comes into the plant on human legs.
The Ford people, the right people for the industry that gave the nation its transportation back in 1903. We're all neighbors, the same neighbors that echo clear across the sea. The people, the people.
It is easy to be deceived by the incredibly complex machines. But the human element is behind it all. People conceive the function of these machines. People guide and control to increase productivity, to create more jobs, to help keep the country humming with activity. Finally, the work of many people, the parts and components that were the individual concern of hands and eyes and brains in many departments, come together for another group to organize in final assembly. The cars come to life rapidly because of all the coordinated effort that has led up to this moment. To follow through from the basic material to the final product, the vast River Rouge Plant was built. It is still the largest integrated industrial plant in the world. But as the idea of mass production for mass distribution grew, it became necessary to spread production far beyond the Rouge Plant and create jobs in other states. This meant building many plants in other parts of the country. Before a new plant is built, before a site is purchased, they map the whole thing out on paper. When planning has led to its logical conclusion, the operation is full size, and there are Ford people at work fabricating parts of cars. In places like Buffalo, New York, where Ford people press sheet steel into roof panels and other body parts. Cleveland, Ohio, where they make engines. Ypsilanti, Michigan, one of several towns where they make things like generators, starters, and distributors. And in other places, they are working on jobs that are vital to the defense of the country. In Chicago, they are making jet engines. The company has plants across the nation. What is this but an extension of the Ford idea? A production line close to the homes of the people who use the product. All the way from Norfolk, Virginia, to Long Beach on the West Coast. Here is where the Ford people work in Atlanta. And here is one of the newest plants, near San Jose, California. And this isn't hard to identify as Dallas, Texas. Here is one of the Ford people of Long Beach. He mounts wheels. The body parts or engine may have come from Buffalo or Cleveland, but the wheels in this case came from just across town, from the plant of the supplier. These are the first cousins of the Ford people. No company is big enough to produce all the parts and components for so complex a machine as an automobile. It is dependent upon thousands of suppliers, most of them small businesses, who are part of the hometown picture from one end of the country to the other. Here is Mary Jane Finelli of Toledo, Ohio. She inspects spark plugs in the plant of a company that supplies Ford. This is Donald Northington of Compton, California. He molds terminal posts on batteries. Finally, here's Walt Johnson on a farm in Iowa, raising corn with the aid of a Ford tractor and implements. What's his relation to the Ford people? Ford buys 150,000 bushels of corn products for foundry core ingredients. They help to cast the engine block in the Ford truck Walt uses to get the corn to market. All in all, the Ford people are great customers themselves. They use 10,000 cases of paper towels a month when they wash up, to name only one item out of tens of thousands. And they have close ties in every neighborhood, from the fellows who dig coal in West Virginia or Pennsylvania, or produce tung oil for Ford paint in Louisiana, to the men who shear wool for upholstery in Australia or Wyoming. And the ties are not all quite as remote as these. Years ago, the Ford mass production idea spread all around the world, creating new jobs. And now, there are Ford people at work on every continent. Let's let a few of them introduce themselves.
My name is Norman Florchuk. I work on the Ford final line in the Dearborn Assembly Plant, USA.
My name is Dennis Wetherow. I work on the final assembly of the Ford Motor Works, Dingenham, England.
Mijn naam is Hugo Swabenbacher. Ik werk op de Ford Motor Company België. En het is hier het einde van de assembly line.
Meu nome é Joaquim Valença e trabalho na linha final de montagem da fábrica Ford em São Paulo.
My name is Keith Dalton. I work on the final line of the Ford Australia Assembly Plant.
Something you notice about Ford products around the world: they are designed to meet the needs of local customers. These are the English Fords. Here is a German Ford. And in other parts of the world, like Brazil, you see the familiar American Ford. Even at home, no one car can satisfy everyone. The modern car is a kind of living room on wheels. Mobility with style, beauty, and comfort. Changing desires and the American idea of continual progress keep engineers and stylists working in a future world where reality is laboriously constructed from the nebulous material of advanced thought. Here are dreams of graceful new power for moving us in the wider, more exciting world that is unfolding for everyone. Are these the models we will soon see on the American road? Not necessarily. These are combinations of many elements suggested for future design. The elements are developed part by Ford people who work with tangible dreams of line, design, color, fabric, and detail, as well as sculptured metal. Sculpturing begins with clay models, here in full size, kept exquisitely accurate with precise instruments. Trucks go through much the same stages as passenger cars. When any new truck or car is finally produced in metal and powered with an engine, it is turned over to the people at the proving ground. These men are the first riders the new models ever had. Test drivers and engineers, whose job it is to find out how cars will perform under any and all driving conditions, and how to bring about peak performance for future owners.